Hello everybody and welcome to section 2. Here we're talking about Earth's water. So first things first, this is not a trick question. Where is most of the Earth's water? I'll give you a minute. Okay, well that feels like about a minute to me, so hopefully right away you thought about this and you answered oceans. So this is roughly speaking 97% of Earth's water, all large oceans. You have a little bit of other salt waters, saline waters, places like the Great Salt Lake. And finally, you have about 2.5%, which is fresh water on Earth. Begs the question, so here, where is most of Earth's fresh water? And this one is a little bit more difficult, so I would encourage you to think about this one for a moment. So, counter to most of our intuitions, right? We would think, oh, well, probably lakes and rivers. It's actually, for the most part, tied up in glaciers and ice caps, solid freshwater. About 30% of the freshwater on Earth, so 30% of this little tiny percentage over here is in groundwater, in little holes, little pores in the soil and in the rocks in the ground, and about 1% is surface waters, so lakes and rivers. And if we break that down even further, so we have our tiny percentage of all water, and we break this down into a tiny percentage of the fresh water, most of that is in ground ice and permafrost, so permanently frozen water on the ground, about 20% in lakes, and all the rest, rivers, swamps, soil moisture in the atmosphere, and living things, is all tied up in remaining roughly 10% up here. So just another way to illustrate this or to look at it, if this is the Earth's water over here, 97.5 liters out of our 100 liters here would be salt water. And a liter, you could think of being about the size of a regular water bottle. That's about a liter of water, roughly. So 97.5 liters, if this is all the water on Earth, would be salt water, which is, for the most part, unusable, or at the very least, very, very difficult for us to use. Of the remaining bit, 2.5 liters, that is fresh water, 1.5 liters of that is frozen, making it very, very difficult to access or to use. 0.64 liters, so about half a water bottle, is going to be groundwater, and a lot of this, most of this even, is inaccessible. And then 10 milliliters, or about 2 teaspoons, would be our usable surface water, lakes and rivers. Just to recap, 97.5% roughly is salt water, 2.5% is fresh water. Now, you might remember, it was 96.5% on the other page because it had separated the oceans from other salt water. We put those two together and get 97.5% salt water, 2.5% fresh water. And of this, most of it is frozen, tied up in glaciers, solid ice, permafrost, permanently frozen ground. A lot of this, the remaining fraction, is groundwater, which is mostly inaccessible, and we're left with 0.01% of the water on Earth, which is in surface water. And this is including the atmosphere, along with lakes and rivers here. So a tiny fraction of a fraction of a fraction of Earth's water is actually usable to human beings. I am not here to change anybody's beliefs about anything, but I would encourage you to remember this lecture and remember what you're seeing right here whenever you hear anything about changes to the Earth's water supply as it relates to people, when it comes to places where we have polluted water supply or lost parts of our fresh water. This is a very, very scarce resource to begin with that we're using here. Next section, section 3, we're going to talk about surface water in a bit more detail.